Welcome to Inside Pediatrics with Dr. Chadia Jbeily, paediatrician with medical training from St. Joseph University in Beirut and Université Paris-Cité in France. In episode 6, we'll explore practical ways to teach children a culture of peace. Let's begin with an important question. What does a culture of peace look like in everyday classroom life?
Let's think about a classroom situation. A peer group repeatedly excludes one student from games and conversations. The reflex is to categorize this as the ordinary friction of childhood social sorting. That reflex is the problem. Dismissing these behaviors has consequences. It allows patterns of relational harm to become established over time. It will lead to erosion of safety, reduced intellectual risk-taking, and diminished trust in caregivers. As Brazelton emphasized, emotional regulation is not separate from learning. It's a prerequisite for learning. A child who feels unsafe or excluded cannot fully engage in thinking, exploring, or remembering. Children living with persistent social stress often present with difficulties in attention, behavior, and even somatic complaints. Fortunately, creating a culture of peace begins with small, consistent practices that become part of everyday school life. Greeting every child personally at the start of the day, holding regular circle time discussions where every voice is heard, responding promptly and fairly to conflicts, and providing a classroom environment that is calm and organized. These practices help children feel secure, reduce cognitive overload, and create the conditions for learning.
Second question. How can educators build genuine inner discipline?
Caregivers often feel caught between two extremes when a child's behavior begins to escalate. On one side is an authoritarian approach relying on rigid control and fear. On the other is a permissive approach where too few boundaries can leave children feeling anxious and insecure. As Daniel Marcelli reminds us, children thrive within what he calls freedom within limits, enough autonomy to grow and enough structure to feel safe. The child's environment should therefore be structured, predictable, and purposeful. The goal is what we call autodiscipline, the gradual shift from external regulation, doing something because an adult demands it, to internal regulation, doing it because it feels meaningful, responsible, and personally satisfying. Every time a child is trusted to make a choice, experience a natural consequence, solve a problem, or reflect on how their actions affect others, they are strengthening their capacity for self-regulation. Developmental neuroscience offers an important insight here. Serge Tisseron reminds us that cognitive empathy, the ability to imagine what another person thinks and what may have motivated their actions, emerges around the age of 5. This is precisely where guided reflection becomes especially effective. Not punishment, not reward, but meaning. That shift from obedience to understanding is the first seed of a peaceful inner life.
Third question. What role does the child's active participation play in building a peaceful community?
Children are not passive recipients of peace. They are its co-creators. Brazelton described an innate drive toward mastery, the deep satisfaction children experience when they accomplish something meaningful. Every new challenge follows a familiar sequence: initial hesitation or frustration, emotional support, gradual mastery, renewed confidence, and growth. Each success prepares the child for the next challenge. When children are given meaningful roles, welcoming a new student, helping resolve peer conflicts, or contributing to classroom life, they are doing more than participating. They are helping build the community itself. Genuine responsibility develops through real experiences, meaningful opportunities, and guided reflection. This process begins at home. The family is a child's first community, the place where children first learn what it means to belong. Giving children age-appropriate household responsibilities and involving them in family decisions builds this foundation for becoming competent and caring adults. Peacemakers are not born, they are developed, one meaningful responsibility at a time.
Question 4. How do we teach children that respect for others is not obedience, but a conscious social skill?
Obedience and respect are not the same. A child who stays silent out of fear has not learned peace. They have simply learned to avoid consequences. A child who chooses kindness because they understand its value is far more likely to carry that behavior into new situations. Respect is a social skill that children learn through relationships. Developmental research shows that even young children are capable of empathy, fairness, and moral reasoning. Elaine Aron's work on the highly sensitive child reminds us that respect is not only something children learn to give, it's something they must first receive. A child whose own temperament, pace, and nervous system are acknowledged and respected by the adults has a living model of what respect actually feels like. Our role is to create the conditions in which respect grows from external guidance into an internal value that children carry into every relationship.
Question 5. What concrete tools can parents and educators use together to create consistent, peace-oriented environments?
One of the most powerful tools is consistency, the fair, steady presence of adults who model the values they teach. In conflicts, rather than reacting with blame, we guide children through acknowledgement, accountability, and reconciliation. Peace also needs to be taught intentionally. We read stories about children who resolve conflicts peacefully. We help children develop the language of feelings, needs, and empathy. As psychotherapist Amy Lowe reminds us, emotionally sensitive children absorb the emotional climate around them. Helping them name their feelings gives them a healthy way to understand and process their experiences. This also requires adults to work as a team. Peace is knowing that every child deserves to feel safe enough to learn, to grow, and to become who they are meant to be. That is the environment we are called to build together. And that work begins not with the next policy, but with the very next interaction. When we choose respectful authority over fear, curiosity over judgment, connection over control, and always keep in mind the person this child is becoming. Thank you for your attention. I look forward to our discussion.